After another exciting NBA season, it's time to rearrange the top 100 players, the top 50 teams, and the top 50 playoff runs according to the all-time greatest NBA book, counting down the 50 greatest teams, the 50 greatest playoff runs by a player, the 50 greatest playoff moments, and the 100 greatest players. I want to thank everyone for purchasing this book and joining this exclusive book club where we can have this discussion together. And if you haven't read the book yet, well, that's okay. We can still have this conversation together, but it will certainly be better if you knew the entire list. I have the link in the description box so you can enjoy the read during the off season, along with my new book that I released prior to the start of the finals. I released a second edition of the all-time greatest NBA book series where I count down the 300 greatest seasons ever. Now let's open the club and see who enters the all-time greatest teams list. I'm certainly not adding the Miami Heat for obvious reasons. No team that won only 44 games should ever be mentioned among the greatest teams in NBA history, no matter how impressive their playoff run was. As far as the Denver Nuggets, this one's a little more interesting. So let's first look at their regular season performance. Their record is underwhelming for a championship winning team. In fact, it's tied for the 7th lowest win percentage for a team that won the title since the NBA/ABA merger. The 2022 Golden State Warriors also had the same record as the Nuggets did. If I want to be cute and really dig deep to build a case for them, they will surely point to their historically great efficiency. Check out some of their notable all-time rankings. They recorded the 2nd highest effective field goal percentage, the 5th highest true shooting percentage, the 9th highest offensive rating, and the 35th highest field goal percentage for a single season. That last one might not seem impressive, but it caught my eye. The reason is because it's the highest mark by any team since 2000. As we all know, teams started shooting more threes once we hit the 21st century, and this team stands alone despite all the threes they took. So they did make history in some form. With that being said, they did not dominate their opponents as all the legendary teams have in the past. They had a margin of victory of 3.33 points and a simple rating system of 3.04 for the season. So in all honesty, I thought I wasn't going to do any changes for the top 50 teams. I did not anticipate that the Nuggets were going to do anything special in the playoffs. Well, they proved me wrong. As you all know, it's extremely important to me how a team performs in the playoffs. And according to the numbers, they had one of the most dominant playoff runs ever. For example, they had the 14th highest margin of victory for a single playoff run by a championship winning team. They won by an average margin of 8.3 points. They also had a playoff record of 16-4, which is an 80 win percentage. That is tied for the 12th highest ever, along with the 2007 Spurs and the 1972 Lakers. That kind of dominance has to be rewarded. There is no question in my mind that they did more than enough to enter the top 50. Now there is a rebuttal. The average number of wins of their playoff opponents is 43.5. So that's 2.5 games over 500. From a statistical standpoint, this is the weakest competition that any championship team has had in the modern NBA. You can look that up right now, and you'll find that this is number one. In many instances, none of the teams that the Denver Nuggets face would have even made the playoffs. How many times have we seen in the Western Conference during the 2000s when you needed to win 50 games minimum to reach the postseason? Now on the flip side, you can see that they beat Karl Anthony Towns, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Jimmy Butler. Those are all great players, and I get that. But come on, Durant was just coming off an injury and hadn't formed any chemistry with his new team. Then Chris Paul shockingly goes down with an injury. Then LeBron James was showing his age in the conference finals. So I'm not going to go too crazy about their high margin of victory, but it is good enough for them to enter the top 50. So for the final ranking, I'll place them as the 39th greatest team. They are just above the 1973 New York Knicks and right behind the 1981 Boston Celtics. Now let's move on to the greatest playoff runs by a player. The only player that we're adding is the Joker. We'll give Jimmy Butler a special shout out for leading his team to the finals. For what it's worth, I had to think about whether or not he deserved to enter the top 50, but the numbers just aren't good enough. It's as simple as that. As far as Nikola Jokic, the numbers are freaking insane. Here's a snapshot of his per game numbers, advanced numbers, and all-time rankings for a single playoff run. Now let's add a few things to this list. He has the highest PER from a player that's ever reached the finals, let alone won the whole thing. He had a total of 10 triple-doubles, which is the most in NBA history. He's the only player to ever finish first in total points, rebounds, and assists. He recorded more assists than Magic Johnson in 1989, Jason Kidd in 2002, Chris Paul in 2021, Isaiah Thomas in 1990, and LeBron James in 2020. If we remember, that was a year when he was a point guard for the Lakers. Now let's talk about some notable performances he had. Against the Phoenix Suns, he had 53 points on 67% shooting, 11 assists, and 4 rebounds. That is the second most in a playoff game by a center. Only Wilt Chamberlain had more with 56 points. There were also 2 games where he scored at least 40 points, and 2 games where he posted over 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. One of those games came in the finals, which was the first time that any player has posted that stat line on the biggest stage. Speaking of which, let's look at his extraordinary performance against the Heat. He averaged 30.2 points per game on 58% shooting, 14 rebounds per game, and 7.2 assists per game. And just for good measure, he shot 42% from the 3. The only players that have averaged over 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in the finals are LeBron James, Shaq, Kareem, and Giannis. The Joker made history. There's no other way to put it. So as far as where this ranks historically, this is the 14th greatest playoff run of all time. I have it above Larry Bird's 1984 playoff run and below Kawhi's 2019 playoff run. I think it's just as impressive as what Kawhi did, but the competition that Leonard had to face was much tougher, which is why I'm going to side with him. But the argument is there for the Joker to be as high as the top 10, which is incredibly impressive. As we do, we save the best for last. It's time to reveal which players are entering the top 100 players list. I got the list right here. It's so crazy that I got the bouncer, Robert Horry, calling me. He's yelling at me, saying, "Are you sure you want him in the club?" I said, "That ain't a typo. Let Jason Tatum in the club." That's right. That's right. Lift the red velvet ropes up and let him in. I have seen enough. I'm not letting him wait anymore. Since we had an extra spot, no one is coming out. The most important accomplishment is that he led his team to the finals. Then we have 3 other years where he led his team to the conference finals, which included 2 times where he was 1 game away from reaching the finals. He already has 2 All-NBA first team selections. He was voted 4th in MVP voting this year. He has an Eastern Conference Finals MVP trophy. He had a buzzer-beating shot in the playoffs last year. He scored 51 points in a Game 7 this year. I mean, what more do you want? So I'll have him ranked 88th all-time, which is right above Billy Cunningham. Next player on the guest list. You know what? Nearly kicked this dude out. After he missed that game-winning shot in Game 7 that would have sent his team to the finals, I thought it was over. He missed his last chance of making the club. There's no way he's coming back from that. I was ready to kick this dude off the premise, but he proved me wrong. He proved us all wrong. Jimmy Butler, aka Jimmy Butler, is in the club. So that means that Earl Monroe has to leave. Now let's talk about the accolades. 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, 5-time All-NBA defense. He has an Eastern Conference Finals MVP trophy, and he led his team to the finals twice. That's some impressive hardware. But the numbers tell us a different story. The numbers tell us that he's always been extremely valuable to all the teams that he has played for. He currently ranks 5th all-time in career offensive rating, 23rd in win shares per 48 minutes, 24th in box plus minus, 40th in offensive box plus minus, 43rd in value over replacement player rating, 47th in PER, 50th in offensive win shares, and 76th in win shares. Do you know which player he has been compared to? Reggie Miller. Shout out to Chris Broussard. I believe he was the first one to link the two players. And I think that's a great comparison. They both have mediocre career per game numbers, and they both were rarely considered to be top 10 players in the regular season. But in the playoffs, they came up big and overachieved time after time. Another similarity is that the advanced metrics love these two players. And we saw that Jimmy Butler ranks in the top 5 in career offensive rating. And guess who is right behind him? Reggie Miller. Come on now. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
They're both winners, and they both came up big when their teams needed them the most. That's all that matters. So I've decided to rank him 80th all time, which is right above Chris Webber. There are two players that are on the guest list that I believe it's time to let them in the club. These two shouldn't be any surprise to anyone. In fact, Big Shot Bob has given me the side eye for letting them wait too long. But I'm sorry, I just got to be sure. Everyone has to wait their turn, but it's time to let them in. Those two players are Luka Doncic and Joel Embiid. Since we're adding two players, that means that we have to remove two players. Everyone, give a round of applause for the governor, Kevin Johnson, and Sean Kemp for everything they've done for the NBA. But it's time for new energy, baby. So let's start with the David Copperfield of the NBA, Luka Magic. He already has 3 All-NBA first-team selections, 2 top 5 finishes in MVP voting, and 1 trip to the conference finals. His offensive skill set is unlike anything we've ever seen, and he's already one of the league's best playmakers. So I've decided to rank him at the 86th spot, which is right above Pete Maravich and behind Kyrie Irving. Now let's get to Joel Embiid. The MVP that he won and the second place finish in 2022 makes him an automatic lock to be considered a top 75 player. But his inability to perform at a high level in the playoffs, along with the fact that he's never reached the conference finals, prevents me from placing him in the top 50. So I've decided to place him at number 60. And finally, we have Nikola Jokic. I introduced him in the club last season. Now we have to completely rethink where he lands among the NBA greats. At the moment, he's the all-time leader in career box plus minus, second in PER, third in offensive rating, third in offensive box plus minus, fourth in win shares per 48 minutes, fifth in defensive box plus minus, sixth in triple doubles, and he's already 32nd in value over replacement player rating. Along with all of that, he has 2 MVPs in that historically great playoff run that we've already discussed. That is an incredible resume that pushes him deep into the top 50 list. I believe he should be in the conversation to be considered one of the 25 greatest players ever. Some people are willing to go that far. For me, that specific tier is reserved for players that have a complete resume that includes longevity. 24 of my top 25 players have at least 10 All-Star appearances. The only exception is Steph Curry, who has 9 All-Star appearances. But you know, the 2 MVPs and the 4 rings compensate for that. So I'm not ready to put Jokic in my top 25, but he's oh so close. So I've decided to move a few pieces around. Giannis was the 30th greatest player when the book was released, and now I have him at 27. So I'm putting the Joker right behind him at the 28th spot. Before I get killed for snubbing him in the top 25, here's the thing. I get the accolades are amazing, and it's better than some of the players that are in my top 25 already. But let's be honest. How many years has he been playing at an all-star level? 5 years. In 2019 and in 2020, he was barely averaging over 20 points and 10 rebounds. He was doing nothing special for the first 5 years of his career. Now the last 3 years, of course, is legendary. But we're talking about a 3-year sample. I have to see more before I put him among the greatest players that had a whole career full of legendary moments. He's only been great for 5 minutes. Remember, My list isn't the greatest players in their prime. I'm looking at the whole picture. He just can't compare to those players. So that's my reasoning behind it. But you know, to each its own. Well, the club is ready to close down. A special thank you to everyone who has supported my work and this channel. We've grown a lot since the last time we did this video, and I plan on doing bigger and better things. The universe will continue to expand. Till next time.